Did the writers of Willow get this thing wrong? As a kid of the 90s, I am so stoked to have some of my favorite characters and stories and movies coming back into pop culture and having my kids experience some of my favorite times growing up. Things like Cobra Kai are bringing back Karate Kid and Ninja Turtles, and all of these things are coming back and being forced back into pop culture because so many people like me who are kids of the 90s are in positions now where they can bring back some of their favorite shows, some of their favorite characters. Like me are having moments of nostalgia as they reminisce about Saturday morning cartoons or Friday nights watching TGIF. One of my favorite movies growing up was Willow. I loved watching Willow as he had to fight to save Elora Danan and protect this small little baby, and how he brought Mad Mardigan along, this great heroic sword fighter. I remember watching it as a kid and wanting to be like Mad Mardigan when I grew up and be this amazing sword fighter and protector and someone who could save the day. And now that Willow is being brought back into culture, this new story is being told, there are a few things that made me question the writers and made me question, did they get things wrong when they rewrote this story? Now, if you haven't watched the show yet, I'm going to talk about a few things, and this could be a little bit of spoilery territory. So here's your spoiler warning. Pause this video, stop the video, go binge watch the Willow show, and then come back if you care about that sort of thing. All right, now that you've been warned, let's dive in. So Willow takes place several years after the movie. Elora Danan is now a young adult, but she's been hidden by Sorsha, and she's been hidden in the kingdom of Tir Asleen. And Sorsha and Mad Mardigan ended up getting together and married, and Sorsha became queen, and they had children. And her children are sucked into this massive adventure where Kit, her daughter, has to go save her brother, Mad Mardigan and Sorsha's son, from the crone, which is really the source and power behind the evil that is in the movie. And so they set on this venture that brings Willow along for the ride, and Elora Danan has to go and fight to save their home and to save their world. And as they're traveling, there are all of these different storylines that come out, and each character is developed here and there throughout different things. But one of the things that happens is Kit and her friend are confronted by their past, and they're confronted by the demons, so to speak, that are in their closets, and they have to come into their own by recognizing who they are and where they've come from. But one of the things that this show does is it takes the movie Willow and this beloved story that I grew up with, changes a few things. You see, as the show progresses and as Kit and Jade and these other characters are forced to battle with their past, things are brought up that begin to change what we believed to be in the movie. We've come to find out that those that we thought were bad guys, like General Kale, were not necessarily bad guys, but just guys who had bad circumstances and had to make hard and tough choices because of their hard and difficult circumstances. And Sorsha, who was started out in the movie as the evil princess, then turns good and joins Mad Mardigan to fight against her mother. We find out that she made some pretty bad choices in trying to protect Elora Danan and trying to protect what she thought was the hope of the world. These dichotomies of good and evil start to get mixed and blended because the bad guys, well, really aren't so bad because they were just forced to do things from their circumstances, or they were just forced to make these choices because of their circumstances. The good guys aren't as good because they chose to do bad things and they made mistakes. So there's this blending of who is really good and who is really bad, but ultimately everybody can maybe be good given the chance. And while that makes for really good storytelling, and that makes for really good shows and character development, is that really true? Can bad people be made good? Can good people do bad things because of their circumstances? Well, the Bible tells us that actually it is sort of true. The difference is the Bible tells us that we're all bad. There are no good people. You see, the Bible tells us that we've all been born in sin. We've been born into a brokenness. And it's not because we have done bad things, but it's because we are inherently broken and sinful inside. See, we are not sinners because we sin, but we sin because we are sinners. We are broken and we're tainted and we're no longer perfect like God made us. See, Romans 3 tells us, what then? Are we Jews any better off? This is Paul talking to the church at Rome. He says, no, not at all. For we have already charged that all, both Jews and Greek, are under sin, as it is written. None is righteous, no, not one. No one understands, and no one seeks God. David writes in Psalm 51, he says, behold, I was brought forth in iniquity, and in sin did my mother conceive me. The idea here is that we are born sinful. And we're sinful not because we did bad things and not because we made bad choices, but that we are just inherently broken. Because the fall from Adam and Eve, the brokenness that they brought into the world, passed down through all of creation. And it's something we are inherently born with. So the Bible goes on, it's not only are we born in our sin, not only are none of us righteous, none of us are seeking God, Romans continues to tell us that all have sinned and we all fall short of God's glory. But Willow gets it right in some way that bad people can be redeemed. Bad people can be made right again. See, if we continue on in Romans chapter 5, it says this, but God showed his love for us in that while we were still sinners, Christ died for us. We were stuck in our brokenness and we were stuck in our sinfulness, and there's nothing that we can do to fix it. And while the show gets it wrong in that a bad person given the right circumstances can just make better choices and become a better person, the reality is that we can't become a better person without outside help. We can't just choose to be righteous. We have to be made righteous. See, God loved us so much that while we were broken, while we were still sinful, while we were still rebellious, Christ died for us. God in heaven came down and took on flesh. He became what was broken without being broken and lived that life and willingly went to a cross and died for us. The greatest thing is that he loved us enough to do that. He loves you enough that no matter what you've done, no matter your past, no matter how bad you think you've been, he loves you. He wants to redeem you. He wants to call you to his own and make you righteous. He wants to take your bad and replace it with his good. But some of us think that we're good enough. Some of us think that we're already the good guy. We're the righteous. But again, remind you that it says all have sinned. All of us are broken. There's not a single one of us that isn't born sinful. But Jesus loves us. Even in our self-righteousness, he wants to save us and redeem us. Let me know your thoughts down below. Let me know what you think about this idea of good and bad, and can a bad person be redeemed? Do you believe that we're all sinful? Do you believe that we're all inherently bad? Let's have a discussion down below. Let me know what you think of this style of video. What do you think of these kind of story reviews and connecting Jesus' story with stories in our world? Let me know if you want me to do more of these type of videos. And as always, guys, like, comment, share, turn that bell on. Let's have more people join our conversation. Let's have more people get involved. Tell me, what do you think? Are you a child of the 90s? Did you like Willow growing up? What other stories and movies or shows do you want to see brought back? Which ones have they brought back that they shouldn't have touched and they should have left in the past? Yeah, guys, let me know in the comments down below. Guys, thank you so much for joining us, for joining me on this journey. Thank you for joining me as we reminisce a little about the 90s. Thank you for coming alongside me on this journey as we search out that living water that satisfies a thirsty soul.